Let's start with two sentences. If I had more time, I would travel. And if I had had more time, I would have traveled. At first glance, they look almost identical. Just one extra had, right? But in English, that extra had changes everything.
Jason. Exactly. One sentence talks about an imaginary situation now, or in general. The other talks about an imaginary situation in the past. Something that didn't happen and can't be changed now.
So if you've ever heard if I had had and thought, wait, why are there two hads here? You are definitely not alone. This is one of those grammar patterns that looks strange at first, but once you understand it, it becomes surprisingly logical.
And by the end of today's lesson, you'll know exactly when to say, if I had, and when to say, if I had had, without guessing, and without getting stuck in the middle of a conversation. But first,
let's see if you can solve today's challenge. Here's today's question. Imagine this situation. You missed an important meeting yesterday because your phone battery died. Which sentence is correct? A. If I had my charger, I wouldn't miss the meeting. B. If I had had my charger, I wouldn't have missed the meeting. C. If I had my charger, I wouldn't have missed the meeting. Take a moment. Which one sounds right to you?
this is exactly the kind of sentence that confuses learners, because all three options sound almost possible, but only one is fully correct for this situation.
Keep your answer in mind, because we'll reveal it later in the lesson. And by the time we get there, you'll understand why the answer is correct, not just memorize it.
You look exhausted. What happened to you yesterday?
Yesterday was a complete disaster. I missed my morning meeting, lost my wallet, got stuck in traffic, and then missed my train.
Wow, that sounds horrible. Why did you miss the meeting?
My phone battery died during the night, so my alarm didn't go off. If I had my charger, I wouldn't have missed the meeting.
Oh no, you forgot your charger again?
Yeah, I left it at the office on Friday. If I had had my charger, I wouldn't miss the meeting yesterday.
Wait, you mean if you had had your charger, you wouldn't have missed the meeting?
Maybe. I don't know anymore. I was half asleep all day. Honestly, if I had had more sleep, I would feel better now.
That actually makes sense, I think. What time did you finally wake up?
At 9:10. My meeting started at 9. I jumped out of bed, got dressed in 2 minutes, and ran outside.
And then the traffic started?
Exactly. The roads were packed. If I had left earlier, I wouldn't have been late. But I couldn't leave earlier because I was asleep.
This day just keeps getting worse.
It does. And then I stopped at a coffee shop because I needed caffeine. That's where I think I lost my wallet.
Seriously? Did you check your bag?
3 times. Nothing. If I had more money, I would have bought a new wallet yesterday.
A new wallet? Yesterday? But you lost your money too, didn't you?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying it was a disaster.
So after the coffee shop, did you at least make it to the office?
Yes, but my manager was already angry. And the worst part? The meeting was about a business trip next month. I missed all the important details.
That's painful.
Very painful. If I had had more money, I would buy a better phone now, too. My battery dies every 5 minutes.
You really need a better phone.
I know. And after work, I ran to the station because I wanted to catch the 6:15 train home.
Did you make it?
No, I got there just as the doors closed.
Oh no.
Yeah, if I had taken a taxi, I would catch the train.
You mean you would have caught the train?
Right, that. I was too tired to think clearly by that point.
So what did you do after missing the train?
I waited 40 minutes for the next one, stood the whole way home because it was crowded, and then realized I didn't have my wallet to buy dinner.
That's brutal.
Honestly, if I had had a normal day, I would be a different person right now.
You need food, sleep, and a new charger.
And probably a new life.
Fair enough. Let's start with coffee.
Only if you're paying. If I had money, I would have bought it myself.
Come on, let's go before your day somehow gets even worse.
All right, everyone. Let's clean up the first big grammar pattern from Sam and Adam's disaster. We heard sentences like, if I had more money, I would have bought it yesterday. And, if I had had more money, I would buy it now. And this is exactly where learners start mixing present unreal and past unreal situations. So let's slow it down and focus on the first one. If I had. This structure is used for a hypothetical present condition. In other words, we're imagining a different situation now. Not yesterday, not last year, not something that already happened and finished. We're talking about something that is not true now.
Exactly. The basic pattern is if plus past simple, would plus base verb. So you'll hear sentences like, if I had more time, I would learn Spanish. If I had a car, I would drive to work. If I had more confidence, I would speak more in meetings. If I had $1 million, I would travel the world. These are all imaginary present situations. The speaker doesn't have those things now, but they're imagining a different current life.
That's the key idea. When we say, if I had more time, I would learn Spanish, we mean I don't have enough time now. My current reality is I'm busy, I'm tired, my schedule is full, but I'm imagining a different present situation, a version of my life where I do have more free time. And in that imaginary version, I would learn Spanish.
So this structure is perfect for talking about dream situations, present lack, or things you wish were different right now. It's not about a real plan. It's not about what definitely will happen. It's about an unreal present condition.
Let's imagine someone named Emma. Emma works full-time, commutes 2 hours every day, and comes home completely exhausted. She wants to exercise more. She wants to read. She wants to cook healthier meals, but she never seems to have enough time. So she says, if I had more time, I would go to the gym every day. That doesn't mean she had more time last week. It means she doesn't have enough time now. She's imagining a different present life.
Exactly. And notice the result. I would go to the gym, not would have gone, because the situation we're imagining is connected to now. Now, imagine Daniel. He takes the bus to work every morning. Sometimes the bus is late, sometimes it's crowded, sometimes it doesn't come at all. And every
Rainy Monday morning, Daniel thinks, if I had a car, I would drive to work. Again, this is not about a car he didn't have yesterday. It's about his present reality. Right now, he doesn't own a car, so he's imagining a different current situation.
That's why this structure is so common in everyday English. People use it constantly for things like money, time, confidence, space, energy, skills, opportunities. Basically, anything they don't have now but wish they did.
Let's take money, a classic topic. Imagine you're looking at a beautiful laptop in a store. It's fast, lightweight, and perfect for work. But then you see the price, and suddenly you take one respectful step backward. You might say, if I had more money, I would buy it. That means I don't have enough money now. I'm imagining a different present condition where I do.
Or maybe you're apartment hunting, and every place you like is too expensive. So you say, if I had more money, I would rent a bigger apartment. Again, present condition, present lack, present dream.
Here's another very real example. Imagine someone is great at English, but they feel shy in meetings. They have ideas, they know the answer, but they stay quiet because they're nervous. That person might say, if I had more confidence, I would speak more in meetings. That's not about last month. It's not about a finished moment in the past. It's about how they feel right now.
And of course, we also use this structure for big dream situations. If I had $1 million, I would travel the world. If I had a beach house, I would invite all my friends. If I had more free time, I would learn to play the piano. These are classic unreal present examples. The speaker is imagining a different life now, or a different general situation.
So let's compare two ideas. If I had more time, I would learn Spanish. This means I do not have enough time now. Now compare that to, if I had had more time, I would have learned Spanish. That's completely different. Now we're talking about the past, a finished situation, a regret, something that didn't happen. And that's exactly what we'll look at next. Here's the easiest way to remember this structure. If I had equals not true now. Ask yourself, do I have it now? If the answer is no, and you're imagining a different present life now, then if I had is probably the right structure. So remember, if I had more time, I would travel. If I had a car, I would drive to work. If I had more money, I would buy that laptop. If I had more confidence, I would speak more. All of these are about now.
All right, now we're moving into the grammar structure that makes so many learners stop and say, wait, did you just say had twice? Yes, we did. And today we're going to make it feel completely normal. Because once you understand the timeline, if I had becomes much easier. This structure is used for a hypothetical past condition. In other words, we're imagining a different situation in the past, something that was not true yesterday, or last week, or last year. And because that condition wasn't true, the result was also different.
Exactly. The structure is if plus past perfect, would have plus past participle. So the pattern looks like this. If I had had my charger, I wouldn't have missed the meeting. If I had had more time, I would have finished the project. If she had had my number, she would have called me. If we had had enough money, we would have booked the hotel. This is all about looking back and imagining a different past result.
That's the key idea. When we say, if I had had my charger, I wouldn't have missed the meeting, we mean I didn't have my charger at that time in the past. Because I didn't have it, my phone battery died, my alarm didn't go off, and I missed the meeting. Now I'm looking back and imagining a different past, a version where I did have my charger. And in that version, I wouldn't have missed the meeting.
So unlike if I had, which talks about a present unreal condition, if I had is about a past unreal condition, a regret, a mischance, a different possible outcome. It's the language of things would have been different if.
Let's go back to Sam and Adam's terrible day. Adam missed an important meeting because his phone battery died during the night. Why did the battery die? Because he didn't have his charger. So later, he says, if I had had my charger, I wouldn't have missed the meeting. That sentence tells us three things. He didn't have the charger in the past. He missed the meeting. Now he's imagining a different result. Exactly. He's not talking about now. He's not saying he needs a charger at this moment. He's talking about a specific finished moment in the past, yesterday morning, before the meeting. That's why we use if I had and I would have missed or wouldn't have missed. Now, imagine you had a big work project due last Friday. You wanted to finish everything,
But meetings kept interrupting you. Your laptop crashed once. Then your internet stopped working. By the end of the day, you only finished half of the project. So on Saturday you say, if I had had more time, I would have finished the project. That means I didn't have enough time last Friday. Now I'm looking back at that finished day and imagining a different outcome.
And notice how different that is from, if I had more time, I would finish the project. That would mean you don't have enough time now. So the meaning changes completely depending on whether we're talking about present lack or past lack.
Let's say your friend moved to a new city. She wanted to invite you to her birthday dinner, but she couldn't contact you. Why not? Because she didn't have your phone number. So later, someone explains, if she had had my number, she would have called me. Again, we're talking about a condition that was missing in the past. She didn't have the number then. As a result, she didn't call. Now we're imagining a different past result.
That's why this structure is so common in stories about misunderstandings. No phone number, no charger, no money, no passport, no ticket, no time. Something was missing back then, and because of that, the outcome changed.
Now imagine you and your friend are planning a weekend trip. You find a beautiful hotel near the beach. It has a sea view, free breakfast, and a balcony. Perfect. But when you check the price, it's way too expensive. So you choose a cheaper place instead. A week later, you say, if we had had enough money, we would have booked the hotel. That means we didn't have enough money at that time in the past. Now we're imagining a different decision, a different booking, a different weekend.
And this is one of the easiest ways to understand the structure. Ask yourself, did the person have it back then? If the answer is no, and now they're imagining a different past result, then if I had had is probably the right form.
Here's a very painful travel example. Imagine you arrive at the airport feeling calm and organized. You've packed your clothes, your headphones, your snacks, everything. Then you open your bag and suddenly freeze. Your passport is still at home. That's the moment your soul leaves your body. You can't check in. You can't board the plane. You miss the flight. Later, you tell your friend, if I had had my passport, I would have caught the flight. So what does that mean? You didn't have your passport at the airport. Because of that, you missed the flight. Now you're imagining a different past.
This structure is also common with exams and studying. Imagine a student fails an important test. Later they say, if I had had more time to study, I would have passed the exam. Or, if I had had my notes with me, I would have reviewed them before class. Again, it's a past regret. The condition wasn't true in the past, so the result didn't happen.
One more example. Imagine you're traveling in a small town. You find the cutest little cafe. The food smells amazing. You order lunch, then discover they only accept cash. You check your wallet, nothing. So later you laugh and say, if I had had some cash, I would have bought lunch there. Simple. You didn't have cash then, so you couldn't buy lunch. Now you're imagining a different past result.
Let's break the structure down clearly. If I had had my charger, I wouldn't have missed the meeting. Part 1. If I had had my charger, I didn't have it in the past. Part 2. I wouldn't have missed the meeting. The result would have been different. So the sentence is really saying, past missing condition, different past result.
Let's compare them side by side. Present unreal. If I had more money, I would buy a better phone. Meaning, I don't have enough money now. Past unreal. If I had had more money, I would have bought a better phone. Meaning, I didn't have enough money then.
That one difference changes the whole timeline.
Exactly. So if the story is about yesterday, last weekend, your last vacation, an exam last month, a meeting this morning, there's a good chance you need the past unreal structure.
Here's the easiest memory trick for today. If I had means I didn't have it back then. Back then, yesterday, last week, last year, in that finished past situation. If the missing thing belonged to the past, use if I had.
And if the result is also imaginary in the past, you'll usually hear would have plus past participle. Would have finished, would have called, would have booked, would have passed, would have caught.
So remember, if I had more time, I would travel. Unreal present. If I had more time, I would have traveled. Unreal past. One is a present dream. The other is a past regret.
And once you see the timeline clearly, the double had stops feeling strange. It actually becomes very logical. Because all it's really doing is showing us you didn't have something in the past, and the result was different because of it.
All right. Now we've reached the most important part of today's lesson, because this is where everything becomes clear. We've looked at if I had, and we've looked at if I had. Now let's put them side by side and compare them directly, because the real difference is actually very simple. If I had talks about an unreal situation now, or a general present situation. If I had talks about an unreal situation in the past, something that was not true back then.
Exactly. So if you can answer one simple question, you can usually choose the right structure. The question is, are you talking about now or back then? If it's about now, use if I had. If it's about back then, use if I had.
Let's start with the present. Listen to this sentence. If I had more free time, I would go to the gym every day. What does it mean? It means I don't have enough free time now. My current life is busy. Maybe I work long hours. Maybe I'm studying. Maybe I'm taking care of my family. Whatever the reason, the condition is not true now. So I'm imagining a different present situation, a present dream, a present wish, a present what if.
Exactly. The speaker is not talking about last week. They're not talking about yesterday. They're talking about their life now. That's why the structure is if plus past simple, would plus base verb. If I had more free time now, I would go to the gym. Simple. Present unreal.
Now let's change just one part of that idea. If I had more free time last week, I would have gone to the gym. Now the whole meaning changes. This is no longer about my life now. This is about last week, a finished time in the past. Maybe last week was incredibly busy. Maybe I had deadlines. Maybe I was traveling. And because I didn't have enough free time back then, I didn't go to the gym. Now I'm looking back and imagining a different past result.
That's the big shift. If I had equals I don't have it now. If I had equals I didn't have it back then. That's it. That's the core idea. One is a present dream. The other is a past regret.
Let's compare another pair. First, if I had a car now, I would drive to work. This is incorrect. Why? Because now tells us we're talking about a present situation. So we don't need had. We need the present unreal form. If I had a car now, I would drive to work. That means I don't have a car right now, but I'm imagining that I do.
So whenever you see words like now, today, these days, at the moment, or a general present life situation,
you should start thinking, maybe I need if I had.
Now let's move to the past. If I had my umbrella yesterday, I wouldn't get wet. This sentence mixes present and past in a strange way, because yesterday clearly tells us the situation happened in the past. So the correct sentence is, if I had had my umbrella yesterday, I wouldn't have gotten wet. That means I didn't have my umbrella yesterday. Because of that, I got wet. Now I'm imagining a different past result.
And notice how both parts move into the past unreal pattern. If I had had, I wouldn't have gotten. That's the structure of a past regret.
Here's another one. If I had had more money, I would buy this laptop now. Again, this sounds wrong because the sentence is talking about now. This laptop now means the speaker is looking at a current situation. So the correct sentence is, if I had more money, I would buy this laptop now. Meaning, I don't have enough money at the moment, but I'm imagining that I do.
If the speaker wanted to talk about a past shopping situation instead, they could say, if I had had more money yesterday, I would have bought that laptop. Now it becomes a past regret. Different timeline, different structure.
So here's the easiest way to stop mixing them up. Before you speak, ask yourself, am I imagining my life now? Or am I imagining a different result back then? If it's now, if I had more time, I would read more. If I had a better laptop, I would work faster. If I had more money, I would travel more. If it's back then, if I had had more time yesterday, I would have finished the report. If I had had my charger, I wouldn't have missed the meeting. If we had had enough money, we would have booked the hotel.
Let's make it super simple. If I had equals now or present dream. You don't have something now, and you're imagining a different present reality. If I had had equals back then or past regret. You didn't have something in the past, and now you're imagining a different present reality in the past.
Present dream, past regret. Now, back then. That's the whole lesson in 2 short phrases.
And once that timeline becomes clear in your head, these sentences stop feeling confusing. They actually become very easy to build.
All right, now that we've compared if I had and if I had had side by side, let's make them feel more natural. Because the best way to really remember grammar is to hear it in real-life situations. So in this section, we're going to move through different everyday scenarios. And each time, we'll compare the present unreal idea with the past unreal one.
Exactly. We'll look at work, school, dating, travel, health, and shopping. And every time, ask yourself one question. Are we talking about now or back then?
Let's start with work. Imagine you've had a long day. You're tired, your inbox is full, and you still have 3 things to do after dinner. You look at the kitchen and think, if I had more energy, I would cook tonight. That's a present unreal situation. You don't have enough energy now, so you're imagining a different present condition.
Now let's move that idea into the past. Imagine last night you were also exhausted. You ordered takeout because you couldn't face cooking. Today, looking back, you say, if I had had more energy last night, I would have cooked dinner. Now, it's a past unreal condition. You didn't have enough energy last night, so dinner didn't happen the way you wanted.
Now imagine a student preparing for an important exam. They see an advanced English course online and think, if I had more experience, I would apply for that program. This means I don't feel experienced now, so I'm imagining a different current situation.
Now, let's turn it into a past regret.
Imagine last year there was an internship opportunity, but the student didn't apply because they felt unqualified. Now they look back and say, if I had had more experience then, I would have applied for that job. That tells us they didn't have enough experience at that time in the past, and now they're imagining a different result.
Let's do a dating example. Imagine someone wants to ask a person out, but they feel too shy. So they say, if I had more confidence, I would ask her out. That's about now. Right now, they don't feel confident enough.
But maybe they're thinking about last weekend. They had the chance to talk to someone they liked, but they got nervous and said almost nothing. Now they laugh and say, if I had had more confidence that night, I would have asked her out. That's a past unreal situation. The confidence was missing back then, and now they're imagining a different outcome.
Travel gives us some of the clearest examples. Imagine you love taking pictures when you travel, but your phone camera is terrible. So you say, if I had a better phone, I would take more photos. That means I don't have a better phone now. It's a present condition.
Now let's go back to your last vacation. You visited beautiful places, saw amazing sunsets, and ate incredible food. But the camera quality on your old phone was terrible. So now you say, if I had had a better phone on vacation, I would have taken more photos. That's a perfect past unreal sentence. The better phone didn't exist during that trip, so the photos never happened.
Here's another common one. You come home from work feeling completely drained. Your friend asks if you want to go for a walk. You look at the sofa and say, if I had more energy, I would go with you. Again, present unreal. You don't have the energy now.
But maybe you're thinking about yesterday. You had plans to go to the gym, but you felt awful and stayed home. So today you say, if I had had more confidence that night, I would have gone to the gym. That's a past unreal situation. Different timeline, different grammar.
And finally, shopping. A very relatable topic. Imagine you're in a store right now looking at a beautiful jacket. You try it on. You love it. Then you look at the price and quietly put it back. You say, if I had more money, I would buy it. That's a present unreal sentence. You don't have enough money now.
Now, imagine last weekend you saw a laptop on sale. It was the perfect one, but you didn't have enough money at the time. A few days later, the sale ends. Now you say, if I had had more money, I would have bought it. That's a classic past regret. You didn't have enough money back then, so the purchase never happened.
Let's listen to a few pairs one more time. Present unreal. If I had more energy, I would cook tonight. Past unreal. If I had had more energy last night, I would have cooked dinner. Present unreal. If I had a better phone, I would take more photos. Past unreal. If I had had a better phone on vacation, I would have taken more photos. Present unreal. If I had more experience, I would apply for that job. Past unreal. If I had had more experience then, I would have applied for that job.
So the pattern stays the same no matter what topic you're talking about. Work, school, dating, travel, health, shopping. The real question is always, am I imagining my situation now? Or am I looking back at a past situation and imagining a different result?
If it's now, use if I had. If it's back then, use if I had had. And next, we'll hear Sam and Adam try the conversation again, this time using both structures much more naturally.
You look much calmer today. Feeling better?
Much better. Yesterday was a mess, but at least I can laugh about it now.
Good. So what actually went wrong with the meeting?
My phone battery died overnight, so my alarm never rang. If I had had my charger, I wouldn't have missed the meeting.
That makes sense.
And if you had gotten up on time, the whole day probably would have gone differently.
Absolutely. I would have left home earlier, avoided the worst traffic, and maybe even kept my wallet.
You still haven't found it?
No, I think I dropped it when I stopped for coffee on the way to work.
That's rough.
Yeah, if I had had a little more luck yesterday, I probably wouldn't have lost half my belongings.
And what about the train? You missed that too, right?
I did. By the time I got to the station, the doors were already closing. If we had had more time after work, we would have caught the train.
Yesterday really was your worst day of the month.
Maybe of the year.
So, what would you change in your life right now?
Honestly, if I had more time, I'd exercise more. I've been saying that for months.
Same here. I keep planning to go to the gym, but after work I just want to lie down and do nothing.
Exactly. And if I had more money, I'd buy that new phone we saw last weekend. My current phone is basically begging to retire.
You do need a new one. The battery dies every 5 minutes.
I know. If I had had a better phone yesterday, the battery might not have died in the first place.
True. That one dead battery caused half your problems.
Pretty much.
What about getting a car someday? Would that make life easier?
Definitely. If I had a car, I'd visit my parents more often. They live just far enough away to make the bus annoying.
And yesterday?
If I had had a car yesterday, I would have driven to the station instead of waiting for the bus. I probably would have caught the train, too.
So the final lesson is buy a charger, buy a phone, buy a car, and maybe buy a backup wallet.
Exactly. All I need now is the money for all of that.
If I had $1 million, I'd help you.
And if you had had $1 million yesterday, you could have saved my whole day.
Fair point.
Come on, let's get coffee before something else goes wrong. Good idea. But this time, I'm checking my pockets every 2 minutes.
All right, everyone. It's time to go back to today's quiz. Here was the situation. You missed an important meeting yesterday because your phone battery died. Which sentence is correct? A. If I had my charger, I wouldn't miss the meeting. B. If I had had my charger, I wouldn't have missed the meeting. C. If I had my charger, I wouldn't have missed the meeting. Take one last look, and if you chose B, you got it right.
That's right. B. If I had had my charger, I wouldn't have missed the meeting. And here's why. This sentence is about a past unreal situation. The meeting happened yesterday. The charger was missing in the past. And the result, missing the meeting, also happened in the past. So we need the past unreal structure. If plus past perfect, would have plus past participle. If I had had my charger, I wouldn't have missed the meeting.
Exactly. We're not imagining a different life now. We're imagining a different result back then. That's why if I had had is the right choice.
Now it's your turn. Let's practice both structures out loud. Repeat after us. Speak slowly and clearly. Ready? If I had more time, I would read more. If I had a car, I would drive to work. If I had had my umbrella, I wouldn't have gotten wet. If I had had more money, I would have bought it. If I had more confidence, I would speak more English. Excellent.
Now, one more quick challenge. As you repeat each sentence, try to notice the timeline. Ask yourself, is this about now? Or is this about the past? That little question will help you choose the right grammar much faster in real conversations.
And the more you say these patterns out loud, the more natural they'll feel. Soon you won't need to stop and think. You'll just know which one sounds right.
And that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Today, we learned the difference between if I had for unreal present situations and if I had had for unreal past situations. So now it's your turn to practice in the comments. Right. 1. One sentence using if I had. 2. One sentence using if I had had.